Let's kick straight off then, if you don't mind, with some of the questions. And what I'll do, if Chris, I know we've talked about the three main areas of brands. Perhaps you, in a second, can talk about that from a corporate level, and then Alex, if you don't mind, you can come more to it from a personal and employer side. I'm sure everyone knows what branding is, and if they don't know what branding is, then this is the perfect conversation to be in. But let's start off with that. But we think there's three types of main brands. But do you want to just highlight those, Chris, and then you perhaps tell us
Yeah,
about one of them, and then Alex, you can talk about the next two, if you don't mind.
yeah. So I mean, there's loads of ways you can skin this cat, but the way that I sort of think about it is that as a recruitment agency, you've got like your corporate brand, your company brand, your external one, your personal brands, which are the individuals within your business and how that trickles down into your overall company brand, and then your employer brand, which should be a separate thing, entirely. So touching on that corporate piece, like this is when people think about marketing and people think about branding, like this is typically the basket that companies put all of their eggs in. And by that, I
Mhm.
mean, we're talking about our LinkedIn company pages. Um, in my opinion, that's not the right place to put all your efforts and energies. Your LinkedIn company page should be something that ticks over, but realistically, to get actual impact and to do the stuff to move that needle that we talked about earlier in terms of like, vacancies, um, more clients, more revenue. This isn't the right place to focus your efforts. I think it can be an attractive place to do it because you've got a number that's always going up with your LinkedIn company page followers. But really,
Yeah.
your company brand is a collection and a collation of all the other people. But yeah, I think the more important thing for me to focus on is very much that personal brand, which is Alex's area of expertise, really.
Right. Okay. That was a nice segue, Chris. You kind of passed the book there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, the old just throw it over.
Yeah. Go on,
Um,
Alex.
yeah, with the a lot of what we focus on then is with the personal branding piece, because the impact that you can have with your network is always going to be so much more than what you can from a company page, because of the way that the algorithm works, but also because of how you resonate with your audience and the reason why people are connected with you. So a lot of the work that we do is around kind of honing that tone of voice piece around how you want to represent yourself as a brand, but then how that resonates with you as a person, and highlighting your own, unique selling point, what makes you stand out, what things you're passionate about that resonate with the kind of values of your company, but also, your personal values. And as with any social platform, the reason that you kind of that people want to connect with you, or that people listen to anything that you say, is because it's from a personal point of view. So that personal branding piece is a really great way to cut through the noise and highlight your services, because essentially you're doing it from the perspective of you, and people buy people, especially in the recruitment space. There's a lot of shouting about, potentially, no matter the size of your business, at the end of the day, when somebody gets on the phone with you, it's about what it's like to have that conversation with you, and that should resonate across all your platforms. And similarly, I guess with the employer brand, like Chris says, that's a very different thing to your sort of corporate brand and your personal brand, where we also need to think about how, what the benefits are of working for your business, what it's like to work with you, and really highlight that, and equally give people the confidence from kind of when they first step in the door working with you to want to shout about the great values or things that you can offer as a business, but making sure that really is kind of a focus, and that there is a strategy around that you're really understanding what kind of content you're putting out there to actually attract people to your business to work with you, and thinking about how that type of content differs from things that promote your brand and your services, or your personal brand and what you're personally passionate about talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've always argued strongly in the past that I think you've got to tell the world what you are, that you fit into their world, and I call that general marketing. If you're a recruitment marketing agency, you need to tell the world that you're a recruitment marketing agency. But I do think then there's an expert side to that, which is a separate bit where you can differentiate yourself. And that, as you say, Alex, I think that is where you can start to show yourself as, yes, I'm going to buy this company because they provide the service that I want, but actually, I'm really going to buy this person, aren't I? I'm going to buy, heaven forbid they want to speak to Keith, but sometimes they might want to speak to Keith because there's something about me that particularly they like about what I do. We had at the Progressive brand that I worked in, part of the S3 group, we had the reputation of being aggressive progressive. Now, you don't want that brand, certainly not within the recruitment sector, and we didn't need it or want it at the time. And then when you managed to get through that gatekeeper and you were in there, then they actually spoke to you, that aggression wasn't as obvious as perhaps they first had that image of as well. So I think there's also, there's some checks and balances there that you can probably take advantage of. Whereas they might go, well, I've heard about you, I'm not really sure about you. However, you don't seem like that. You seem like a completely different person. So you could probably, use that as a benefit as well, I suppose.
And I think, yeah, I agree. And I think it's horses for courses. We know that the vast majority of recruitment companies in the UK are under 10 people. And those companies that are under 10 people will have been started off the back of a particularly successful recruiter, no doubt, or a couple of recruiters, or 3 or 4 recruiters, something like that. And lean into it is what we're saying. Another really important aspect of a brand is that it should change and it should develop and it should become different over time. That means that, like, if you're starting things off where you're just doing this initially, that you can get some really easy wins by just having a great personal brand and getting all the people in your business to get their stuff out there. When that grows, we would then suggest trying to dial that down into like some sort of community, which means that then you're really plugging into that corporate brand because of some of all your parts. But yeah, like Alex said, and like you said, Keith, it's like people to people like people. So you got to show off who you are individually to get the most out.
Yeah.